Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Guys, I am doing tonight's group therapy right after the game because Josh Bowe wanted to record on his own because I am on my own in my house for the first time in like 4 years. My wife and son are on a trip, and so he suggested I get over with Mav stuff rather quickly and do something else. But I wanted to hang out with you guys. So here we are. The Dallas Mavericks just lost to the Memphis Grizzlies 112-108. It was, a surprisingly entertaining game. Kyrie Irving was ruled out late with a kind of foot soreness. He specifically mentioned playing 41 minutes in the loss the other night in his sort of mid-afternoon shoot-around quotes, which just stood out to me like a sore thumb. That's the minutes thing is something we've been watching with Kyrie for quite some time. And I am really, I'm hopeful he's okay, because if he and Luka miss time together, it's just not reasonable to expect this team to put up a considerable amount of fight over the long haul. Now, that said, they played Memphis really, really well for most of the game. They hung around. Memphis, obviously, without Ja Morant and Steven Adams, 2 key cogs in their team. The Mavericks were led by younger players tonight with Josh Green and Jaden Hardy. Jaden Hardy made bottom line. His stat line is kind of mediocre for 20 points and 20 shots. But I think there were things, if you're an optimist, that you should look into and try to, enjoy from that game. Josh Green looked a little bit more like the Josh Green we had seen before All-Star break. Where things got disappointing was with about 9 minutes left in the game, the Mavericks had a 10-point lead after a pair of Christian Wood free throws. And the problem was over the next 40 seconds, they gave up 5 points, and it was a 5-point game again. And, the Mavericks being unable to defend anything in the paint is just kind of embarrassing. Christian Wood didn't play very much tonight, got pulled for some kind of questionable defense, I think. But it's not – I don't understand really what Kidd is seeing, because it's like Dwight Powell adds a lot when Luka's out on the floor. He really, really does, guys. The numbers, the tape, it all shows it. But if Luka's not playing, Kyrie's not playing, Powell's not bringing much. So Wood's defensive shortcomings, and they're pretty bad, are made up by the fact that he's pretty good at offense. This stuff exists. I don't understand some of his rotational choices. The last couple of probably 2 weeks, we've really seen like a strong turnaround on the internet in terms of discussions surrounding Jason Kidd. I've not nothing has made me feel better or worse about Kidd the last 2 weeks. He is stuck in a particular way of coaching, but with a roster that doesn't really fit his proclivities. And so, at least he didn't play Theo. At least he didn't play Frank Ntilikina tonight. I mean, that steps in the right direction. I there's little things I could take away from this game. If the Mavericks hadn't been up by 10, I think people would be a lot less irritated about this loss. The turnovers were brutal for Dallas at the worst part of the game. And that's really kind of, they only had 11, but they seem to happen at the worst possible time. So, all right. So let's hang out for a little bit, 20, 30 minutes, maybe see what people think about this game. And then let's move on, do something else with our Saturday nights. Coming up first is Brian. Welcome, Brian. What's going on? Brian, you got to hit that unmute button there. Come back out of the chat and hit it on the main page. Okay, give Brian a second here, see if he can figure it out. Okay, going to move on to the next one. Micah, how you doing, Micah?
What's going on, Kirk? I thought we had a chance. It's looking good, though. Hey, they had some fight with missing 2 stars. You know what? We'll take it. At the end of the day, I wish somebody would get cheeky enough with Jason Kidd just for shits and giggles and just say, so we run in CYO for guards. Is that what we're doing here? Because, look, Kirk, at the end of the day, I never thought I was Rick Carlisle's 3-guard lineups until I saw Jason Kidd's 4-guard lineups.
Yeah, they're playing,
ridiculous.
They play a lot of small because they have to. And, that last Desmond Bane 3 that he hit from the corner, I got a couple of texts from my friend EJ, who sometimes joins the chat here, and he said, he's like, how do you give up that 3? Well, I rewound and I'm looking at it, and Bullock is pulled all the way down because it's Powell underneath getting his ass whooped against Jaren Jackson. And, the Mavericks just play so small, and you like Tim Legler did a really nice breakdown the other night after the Pelicans game on ESPN, and he basically showed how the Mavericks, because they play so small, in terms of positionally, guys are over helping, and then there's just guys open left and right once rotations are in order, because it's not like the Mavericks have like the kinetic chain they had last year where guys are flying all over the place. It's sort of a, is it Kidd? I don't want to put it on Kidd. It's this team makeup is what it is. When you're missing any pieces, they're just
right. He's kind of, how to say this? He's banging his head against the wall. Like, we can all get mad about the rotations and go back and forth, but you look at this roster, Kirk, and you're like, I don't feel comfortable with one front court player playing more than 24 minutes.
No, not at all. I mean, Maxey had a couple of really nice plays, but you just can't play him more than 25 minutes. Otherwise, he's going to
he'll break down, and that's the problem. And then it's just like with Christian Wood, you can't trust him for that amount of time, and it just keeps going down the line. And it's just like, look, when we're at full strength, having Dwight Powell as your only player that's over 6'7", it's just not good. It's not good. And sometimes I wonder, especially after I saw that thread of his Milwaukee days, I'm wondering if that's going to be a problem, him not realizing that the league is transitioning back. Like, small ball is dead. Like, you look at any team that's competing in the league, they're all running 2 big lineups.
Well, but one of the bigs, you have to have bigs that could stretch a little. And that's what makes playing Powell so much just really confusing, because you can hide Powell in certain lineups, but he can't shoot, and he never will shoot. So I feel a little lost with what's going on.
He doesn't shoot, and he's not a presence in the paint at all.
Right, only on rolls. Yeah,
like you just said, like Triple J just kicking his ass. Like,
yeah,
and that's what we're always going to look at until until they realize that this roster needs size, that small ball is dead. I mean, we're looking at the last team that was able to run small ball, and they're not looking too great, Kirk. They pretty much got the same road record as the Houston Rockets and the San Antonio Spurs. It's bad.
Well, this would have been an incredible game to steal, just because we play these guys 2 more times in the next 9 days, and to get one,
right.
And they're not getting back Ja Morant and Steven Adams. Like, Steven Adams' knee injury required some kind of injection. He's not, and then Ja Morant. So if anybody hasn't to the internet today,
they said 4 games.
Well, they said 4 games today.
I don't buy it,
Micah. And then a New York Post article came out today, and it's like, at a certain point, what is happening, and this is my guess, this is pure conjecture, the NBA wants the Grizzlies to punish Ja Morant. The Grizzlies want the NBA to do something to Ja Morant. So it's this game of chicken where neither side wants to actually do anything, despite the fact that everybody knows that there was something that it's just not a good look. Yeah. And I don't really it's not a moralization.
It hasn't.
Yeah.
It hasn't. Like with Ja, it's how to say this? It's disappointing because I've went through my own struggles in life. Sure. And with Ja, it's just it's realizing that if you want to do better, you have to have a better crowd around you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple what they needed to do earlier this year. Like, he got in trouble over the summer with some things, and it's been pending. And the NBA and the league or in the Memphis knew the whole time, and they didn't do anything. And it's like it's an incentive-based structure. If you don't ever correct somebody's decision-making or help them at all, they're going to continue to make the same kind of decisions. Anyways, I don't want to talk about them too much, but if he's not going to play, that means the Mavericks had a real chance, because I think Luka comes back, because maybe he doesn't come back to the second game, but if Kyrie plays in this game tonight, do you think we win? I think we win.
This is advertiser content brought to you by Frito-Lay.
Hello, I'm Chip Murphy, here to get you ready for the big tournament. Tonight we'll break down who will be cutting. Cut! What are you two doing?
Sorry, Chip. Prez here got his feathers ruffled when I told him Ruffles has 0 chance of winning the title.
And I was letting Dip know that she is not taking into account Ruffles' iconic ridges.
Guys, it's March. We have to start talking about the tournament.
We are. It is the 2023 Frito-Lay Snack It.
We're talking about big-time matchups between Cheetos, Smart Food, Lay's, Sun Chips, and more.
Just head to the Frito-Lay Snack Bracket and vote for your favorite chip, pretzel, or dip for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks.
This sounds great. Keep up the good work.
Just go to fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends 4/3/2023. Void where prohibited. Here's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com.
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, because they just they don't have enough after that. I mean, Tyus Jones is good, and they got pieces that are good, but without him being that electrifying player, and I don't know. It's tough. So and then Steven Adams as well. People underestimate what a big that can actually box out does, and that's what makes team building so hard. It's just not us fans, but it's front offices as well that underestimate everything that you need to compose a championship team.
Well, the Grizzlies have the Grizzlies are secretly, number one, their owner is now one of the richest men on the earth. They're majority owner. Number two, they have an analytics-based draft group that has nailed every stinking pick they've taken back to Jaren Jackson Jr. And, if you're not a big Jaren Jackson Jr. person, I get it. He's really divisive, but some of the shit he sent back tonight on fast breaks, that man is an incredible defensive player. And then it's you look around and we're getting the crap kicked out of us by David Roddy. David Roddy is a player out of Colorado State. He's 6'5" and 250 pounds. Him and Bane look like the friggin' Legion of Doom from the WWE. It was crazy. What they just like these. They like big. They got John Conchar. If you were to trade Ja Morant and Luka Doncic, the Memphis Grizzlies are title favorites every year. That's how good I think they've drafted.
Yeah, it's true because it's just that's what's needed to compose a team. I see different people talking about, who's better, Draymond or Rodman? I'm like, it doesn't matter. They're both important cogs to a championship team, and if you don't have players like that to round out your roster, you're not winning. It's just look at Denver now. They've been getting Jokic's been getting picked on about that since San Antonio game, but it's just when you come to face the facts that your superstar is deficient in defense, just like with the Mavs in 2011, and even though Dirk could still give great effort at times, everybody that they put around them were defensive players. And I think that's what Kid's running into. He is just overly frustrated and doesn't want to accept the team that he has.
I think it's an interesting argument, man.
So he runs forward on us.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging.
All right, Kurt, appreciate it.
Let's see here. Who we got next? We got my guy Kyle. You've been waiting, Kyle. Welcome to the show. What's up? Kyle's got a good mic in his photos, so we're gonna trust that he can come up here and talk. Kyle, you there? All right. Try to come back in if you do want to talk. Sometimes when you switch apps, it doesn't let you. My man Nav, what's up?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm okay. Kind of I think I'm a little bit annoyed at the loss, but not any. I'm not too.
Yeah, I agree. It was nice that they kept it competitive. Gave us a little bit of hope, but disappointed with how things ended. It was good. I feel like change of pace to actually see a game where most people were trying their hardest most of the time.
Sure.
And
I'm not sure I understand.
Sorry, Siri.
It's all right.
Yeah, so it was nice to see that with the effort and seeing Josh, get him. It seemed like when Luka is not playing, he seems to be empowered more by the coaching staff. It just seems like he looks to the basket more. It's not like an 0 for 2 night or 0 for 4 night when Luka's playing. He just seems to just defer to Luka more. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I mean, I can definitely see that. And that's a bit of a challenge and something they need to work through because you want the best shot when you're in an offensive possession. And sometimes I think that doesn't necessarily happen.
Yeah. And it was nice to see Jane Hardy actually play instead of Frank or Theo Pinson.
Yep, first start.
Yeah, it was nice to see him. He had that big three to tie it. And then, I know he had some mistakes down the end. I'm not upset about that. He's a rookie. He's trying to figure it out. I'm glad he had the opportunity, get some run.
Yeah.
One question I was going to ask you, because this is something that I'm curious what your position is on it. So we all already, I feel like we talk about Dwight Powell and his limitations a lot. And I'm curious if, despite all of Christian Wood's, flaws, and I feel like they've gotten worse, over the last, 2-3 weeks, it seems like his effort has gotten worse and just everything just seems worse than it was earlier in the season. And But despite that, do you ever feel like having somebody who is longer, can actually challenge shots better, and actually you can throw the ball down to him down low, he could create his own shot, and he can stretch the floor? Do you ever feel like, hey, he should be playing over Dwight Powell, or do you think that, no, Dwight Powell at least gives his best effort always? You never have to worry about, he's going to be in the wrong spot, and he's trying despite his physical limitations.
This is a good question, because what you're basically asking is, am I happy with Dwight Powell being in the right place and losing every time, or Christian Wood being in the wrong place and giving up points, but maybe being able to get those points back on offense? And that's really what it comes down to, because Christian Wood is an awful defender. He doesn't box out at all. There was one play, and I don't know if you guys noticed this.
Yep.
The Grizzlies really brutalized him in terms of every time he was trying to set screens and cut, and they just slammed into Christian Wood over and over again. He just doesn't have a lot of strength. I think if I was to choose, if you were to give me the choice, I would still rather see Wood, just because I would rather have that opportunity, because like we've discussed, this is not a defensive team. So at a certain point, you got to dance with what brung you, and seem very intent on trying to be something that they just don't have the capacity for.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I feel like occasionally, a blind squirrel can find a nut, and Christian Wood can have a good defensive position.
When the ball's going in for him, he's much more locked in defensively. Yeah. Much more locked in. And we've seen that. He's just a step slow on every rotation. It's kind of remarkable.
Yeah. The hand goes up half a second too late, and he keeps it there acting as though, hey, I was here. And it's like, no, man, we're all watching.
Well, they do switch it, and defense teams are pretty well scouted by now to where they know that certain players only switch, and it's they look to attack different things like that. I don't know. This is just one of these things where it comes back to why we've watched the big men for years. So why they thought only having, clearly they thought McGee was a better answer than he was, but once again, McGee is a do not play,
Yeah. So going off that, had another question about, seeing actually, I don't know if you noticed this, but it seems like when we have Luka and Kyrie in the game, and this was even before Kyrie, the concept and philosophy that I felt like the coaching staff was taking, Jason Kidd taking, is I need to surround Luka with a crap ton of defenders, because Luka's not really going to defend, but that's going to, make the offensive burden all on Luka pretty much, right? And then when you got Kyrie, it was like, all right, they can kind of split it, but they're both kind of nothings, on defense. And so I'm going to try and surround them, shore up the defense with wings. Seeing Jaden Hardy and seeing Josh Green and seeing two more people that are not named Luka and Kyrie actually be able to dribble the basketball and drive to the basket, having more people who can dribble, drive, and shoot. I feel like I would rather surround Luka and Kyrie with those kind of people, as opposed to more minutes from Justin Holiday, right? I wasn't sure if it felt like the philosophy is kind of let Luka and Kyrie carry the heavy offensive burden.
Yeah.
So that then because on defense they're nothing. And I'm wondering, have you ever, I'm sure you have. I'm just wondering, I'm looking at tonight. I was like, why don't they add more offensive players so maybe Luka and Kyrie can have more energy, play better defense?
I mean, the real challenge that you run into there is that everybody else that's left for the Mavericks is actually quite small. You don't think of Josh Green as small until you see him trying to guard Kevin Durant. Some of the Mavericks are, and really the Grizzlies were kind of a good comp for that, because those dudes are just big. And I think if you're gonna surround Luka with kind of more guys that can dribble, shoot, and pass, Luka can't be the second biggest guy on the court. That's at least my opinion. I mean, I think in practice it works out okay, particularly in like if you're playing one game, they might. But that's kind of that's at least where I stand on that question. But it's a good question.
Yeah, no, it makes. I hear what you're saying. That makes sense. It's tough seeing Tillman just like kind of dominate on the offensive boards tonight.
Is, and they're just so thick. All their guys are big. It's maddening to watch out. Like they're just. I think in a 7-game series, the Mavericks beat the crap out of them because the Grizzlies don't have a half court offense, but there's just elements of a game like tonight where when things get ugly, it really gets mucked up for the Mavericks.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
All
sure.
Right. Thanks
for coming up. It.
All right. The great Mike. I can't even say the player's last name.
You don't remember him?
Yeah, I can't. But it's like when I see it, my brain doesn't process correctly because it's vowels and Z's.
I hear you. I'm good,
not
man.
bad. Like I like the difference between a 7 and a 7:30 start time is so delightful.
Yeah, I imagine it's a lot better than the East Coast games when you're up till 2
right.
in the morning doing this for us. Okay, well, I almost hope you disagree with me and tell me I'm crazy, but it's like I can't deny what my eyes are seeing, and it's a short sample size, but ever since the Kyrie trade, and even I think 2 games without Kyrie, but the games where Luka is sitting out, I can't help but notice the level of effort and the energy is just on a whole nother plane.
You're not crazy. I mean, they get their energy from Luka, and when Luka plays like shit, they play like shit.
But even in the games where he's playing hard or he's having a great game, it just feels like they're just standing around and I don't know. There's just something. I don't know if they're turned off by him just his sourpuss and bitching at the refs all game long, not getting back on defense. But they just look like a completely different team as of late.
Well, if they're not afraid for his feelings, and I worry that they are because they've coddled him since day one to his detriment, what someone should do, and I don't know, tell me if you remember this, years ago, it might have been Harden's second year with Houston after they got and he just looked exhausted by the end of their playoff run. Someone put together this 10-minute long clip of James Harden lowlights. It was on Deadspin and made the rounds where it was like, oh no, he's just one of the worst defensive players. And I think somebody needs to do that for the Mavericks with Luka. All the clips of him, there was a really good one last game. I can't remember the guy who tweeted it out, but it was like Luka ran into a double team in the short corner, shot an ugly floater, and then didn't get back on defense at all. He wasn't in the frame, and the Pelicans scored. And you know what? We understand he was hurt. I understand he's been hurt for a while. He hasn't really looked right since he hurt his heel, if we're being honest. But I also think that there's some accountability that can be put into play here where it's just everyone needs to show him this stuff. He is a guy that's motivated if you challenge him. And I think the Mavericks haven't challenged him near enough. One of the things that got lost, and I've been thinking about this today, particularly with Jeff Skin Wade shared that clip from Mike Brown and was like, hey, I see Mavs Twitter probably wants Mike Brown fired for something for this sort of speech. One of the things that the Mavericks as an organization misunderstood about me and others getting mad at Jason Kidd for commenting about what he did. It was not that what he said about Luka was necessarily wrong. It was that he didn't take any responsibility. Luka's been a terrible defender for a great portion of this year, and it's okay to say that because it's true.
Yeah, it's instead of the kind of passive aggressive shit that Jason Kidd says in the press conference, it'd be refreshing if he'd get after him during an actual game.
And I think he does. But I don't think we see it because Jason Kidd apparently does this thing where he kind of curses everybody without changing his facial expression. But I also would just like to see it. I really would, because I think everyone in the Mavericks has got to be stop being afraid of pissing him off, Luka. I mean, he's a big boy. If he can't take it, then he's not the guy we think he is.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure starting off as a professional at 13,
Right.
he's used to it at this
The
point.
Europeans we talked to in here have talked about the relationships he's had with coaches. It's not you don't gotta love your coach. Shit, no. Like I hated my high school coach until I graduated. Right. Now I still talk to him, and it's been 20 years. Like you appreciate people for the role that they play in your lives, not because they're your friend.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Phil Jackson and Kobe weren't on speaking terms by the end of their run. So, yeah, I agree. That was all I had, man. Just I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I wish they could give that same level of effort when he was playing.
I agree. Well, thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, talk soon. All right, see if we got anybody else. Nope, nobody else. All right, we're just under 30 minutes. We're going to get out of here early. Well, early in so much as we can. So we play the same damn team on Monday. That's another reason why we probably shouldn't talk too much about this. Hopefully we'll get one of Kyrie or Luka back. If not, maybe we'll see another slog fest like this. Thanks so much for hanging out. Check out Mavs Moneyball. Nice time. Go Mavs.